Klay Thompson's dad ended up checking Monica McNutt and everybody who has the same ideology that she has when it comes to why Caitlin Clark is famous and why she's such a big phenomenon in this world.
I had to rewind the interview when Mychal Thompson, the NBA champion and father of Klay Thompson, acknowledged that he was actually starstruck when he met Caitlin Clark. This is a man who has played against basketball greats like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, won NBA titles with Magic Johnson, raised a multiple NBA champion in Klay, and has spent his entire life surrounded by basketball royalty. Yet there he was gushing about a WNBA phenom.
Well, they don't like Caitlin Clark. You know, Caitlin Clark, I've been noticing, I've been following her career since she was a sophomore at Iowa, and I recognized how different she was, how different she played the game. She played the game like Steph Curry. We had never seen a woman play like that before.
Meanwhile, Monica McNutt of ESPN keeps disparaging Clark's accomplishments. Her most recent assertion that Clark's appeal is due to her status as a white girl from the middle of America isn't just offensive, it's a pattern. It has nothing to do with her stunning logo, her generational court vision, or the real way she makes millions of fans happy and sets a positive example for children, but rather with the way she looks. What Mychal said that is replacing McNutt is why someone with McNutt's platform would continuously criticize the athlete who is attracting millions of new fans to women's basketball. Are you prepared to let's go?
I think,
why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games, but I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
I think Caitlin represented Angel Reese, and I was just going to say the same thing for her when I had the opportunity to cover their games. Again, I don't think this is fair to her because it wasn't something she said or was really based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. Monica McNutt recently crossed a line in a recent BBC interview with special correspondent Caddy that many ESPN commentators are aware of and should avoid. Kay McNutt reduced everything to Caitlin Clark's appearance and, perhaps, what she stands for, attributing her stratospheric ascension to something other than her generational potential.
She represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons.
Whether that is actually what she prescribed or not, she represented a lot to many people. We can all agree that she is a dynamic basketball player and a force on the court and in marketing, but I believe the same is true for people who may have fallen in love with Angel Reese. Whether she agreed with everything they said or not, we attach our fandom to these icons for a variety of reasons. Let that sink in for a second. According to McNutt, fans weren't drawn to Clark's NCAA scoring records, her nook passes, or her sick crossovers that left defenders stunned. It seems to be mostly about her being white and Midwestern, not her spectacular three-pointers that revolutionized women's basketball, her flair when interacting with fans, her time spent with children, or her good portrayal of the sport.
WNBA and all the people that follow the WNBA and try to promote the WNBA don't understand that Caitlin Clark's game resonates with us. I say this every day, and every day I got to deal with somebody else dumb in the media. Caitlin Clark's game resonates because she's got flair, she's got flash, she's got style. I said this before, and I'll say this again. We saw Sue Bird's game. We saw Diana Taurasi's game. Kim Mulkey was Sue Bird before Sue Bird became Sue Bird. We've seen it. We haven't seen Caitlin Clark.
We saw Sue Bird's game. We saw Diana Taurasi's game. Kim Moy was Sue Bird before Sue Bird became Sue Bird. We've seen it. We haven't seen Caitlin Clark. This contemptuous attitude ignores the real reasons why millions of people tune in to watch Clark play, while McNutt was busy reducing Clark to her demographic profile. The WNBA and all the people who follow the WNBA and try to promote the WNBA don't understand that Caitlin Clark's game resonates with us. I say this every day, and every day I have to deal with someone else stupid in the media. The Indiana Fever were occupied with planning an unprecedented 41 nationally televised games for 2025. Networks invest such funds not because of a player's history, but rather because fans are compelled to watch real greatness on the court.
folks that cover the NBA, these people that play in the NBA, these people that cover the NBA, there, I said these people, all of you, black, white, green, purple, why don't you understand a very simple thing? Her game is dynamic. Like Diana Taurasi was like a jackass to Caitlin Clark. Why? Her game is what people are drawn to. And then you go to the personality. Her game is different than any WNBA woman ever. And she wins, and she shoots from deep. It's no different than Steph Curry. How many times we got to say it?
What is especially concerning about McNutt's remarks is how they minimize Clark's agency and more than 10 years of unrelenting skill development. Every behind-the-back pass, every logo three, which weren't gifts from privilege, but rather abilities refined over thousands of hours in deserted gyms when no one was looking. This conveniently ignores the fact that Clark led the league in assists as a rookie while adjusting to a whole new level of play.
Honestly, the main reason is because of her talents. It's not because of her race. Her race has nothing to do with it. You know, especially with kids. She's saying kids don't see color, man. The kids that I grew up around, and when I grew up as a kid, I didn't see color, man. I did not see color. I didn't care about color. I didn't know what color was. I just knew you were a human being, and I was trying to be your friend. It's kind of a crazy, nonsensical take to say that kids were looking up to her because she was white.
Since McNutt receives a salary from the same ESPN that broadcasts Clark's games and profits greatly from her popularity, it's the sports media equivalent of biting the hand that feeds you while also implying that the hand doesn't deserve to be fed in the first place. Honestly, the main reason is because of her talents, not because of her race. She's saying that kids don't see color, man. The kids that I grew up around, and when I was a kid, I didn't see color, man. I didn't see color, I didn't care about color, and I just knew you were a human being.
All type of nationalities and ethnicities that follow Caitlin Clark and rock with her. So it's not that. I don't think that's the case.
Social media erupted in indignation after McNutt's remarks, with one user on X writing, "She should be fired immediately." It's not that I don't think that's the case, though, as fans of all different nations and ethnicities follow Caitlin Clark and rock with her. The response against the offensive inference that Clark's varied fanbase supports her because of her racial identity rather than her basketball prowess was more than just defending Clark as hashtags trended and videos of her statement went viral. McNutt overlooked the fact that Clark's attraction cuts across all demographic groups. When you go to any Fever game, you'll see supporters from all walks of life wearing her jersey. If you chat to them, they'll talk about her court vision, her lack of fear when snapping shots most athletes would never consider trying to compete against her, and they will never even bring up the fact that she is a white girl from the middle of America.
Hey, it's every day. I don't know why Monica McNutt or anybody that professes to know basketball can't simply say, you know, her game's just different than everybody we've ever seen. Ever. Now, don't tell me. I've watched. Ever. Tamika Catchings, great player. Seen her game.
I don't understand why Monica McNutt, or anyone who claims to be knowledgeable about basketball, can't just say, you know her game's just different than everybody we've ever seen. Ever. Now don't tell me I've watched. Ever. Tamika Catch is an excellent player, and I've seen her play. The backlash against McNutt's racist remarks is just the most recent development in what seems to be a personal grudge against the WNBA's biggest star. This wasn't a one-off event or a brief slip-up. Instead, McNutt has been continuously shifting the goalposts whenever Clark accomplishes something outstanding.
Sabrina, Brianna, Kelsey, Diana Taurasi. You had and have these white players in the league that never galvanized the people like this. All right. Now, granted, you can have some people come back and say, well, the media and the coverage wasn't as good as it is now. NILs and things like that weren't popping off. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it, man. If they were that captivating, they would have got the eyes.
Bella Dunsaubrey Kelsey, Brianna Diana Taurasi, that is. Even if you can have some people return and say, well, the media and the coverage wasn't as good as it is now. Nils and things like that weren't popping off. You had and still have these white players in the league that never inspired the populace in this way. That has nothing to do with it, man. If they were that captivating, they would have attracted attention. Take last year's Rookie of the Year debate. when Clark was setting records as a rookie, and McNutt abruptly decided that team success should take precedence over Clark. She appeared on ESPN's Get Up and stated that she supported Angel Reese over Clark, specifically because the Chicago Sky were in the playoffs at the time and the Indiana Fever were inconvenient. This illustrates how individual excellence became secondary the moment Clark dominated those metrics.
The Sky in the playoffs right now, which means that Angel Reese, in theory, has impacted winning in a greater way. But I think the double-double streak that she's on, the 8 consecutive double-doubles, for Caitlin, she's leading rookies in points, minutes, and assists. There was terrific stats put out over the weekend by our colleague Mychal Thompson about the percentage, about her being the player that has seen the most blitzes in the league. And so she's navigating a different level of defensive intensity, and rightfully so, because she's playing a point guard role for this Fever squad. So I think today, looking at the standings, you probably tend to lean Angel.
This pattern can be seen throughout McNutt's commentary. When Clark sets records or accomplishes something extraordinary, McNutt switches the focus to team performance. When the discussion turns to Clark's contribution to the game's growth, McNutt finds ways to give credit to other players or outside factors. The inconsistency is astounding, as her evaluation criteria mysteriously change based on whether they might favor during his appearances on ESPN. Clark observes McNutt's body language, highlighting the eye rolls. Her passionate conversations about other rookies contrast sharply with her contemptuous hand motions and clearly suppressed joy. This nonverbal communication reveals a lot about her true feelings for Clark. For example, recall the moment she acknowledged being envy.
To me, yeah, jealous, sure. I mean, would you be jealous of somebody that got $28 million a shoe deal or whatever the deal is before you step foot in the pros, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you be envious of someone who received a shoe deal worth $28 million or anything else before entering the professional ranks? Her social media activities provides an equally illuminating account. McDonald has frequently liked and retweeted posts that downplay Clark's accomplishments or imply that she is overhyped. These online crumbs leave a blatant bias trail that goes beyond her on-air commentary, further solidifying the idea that her criticism is based on personal rather than expert analysis.
Go watch Caitlin Clark. I did this. I went to go to a Fever game, not because I'm so enamored with women's basketball or because I'm so enamored with Caitlin Clark. No, I wanted to see what it was like on the court. Who did my eyes go to? And without question, it was a game against Phoenix. Big old Brittany Griner's out there. Very hot Sophie Cunningham is out there, but they didn't matter. All eyes go to Caitlin Clark because of the way she plays, the way she competes, the way she's a little bit, to use Shannon Sharp's, we're a little nasty on the court, nasty to her teammates. She's screaming at a ref right in front of us. I had first row seats right there under the basket. Fantastic.
The way McNutt's tone changed as Clark's fame skyrocketed early in his collegiate career is quite intriguing. Although McNutt's commentary was noticeably more balanced, it became more critical as Clark started to bring women's basketball to the attention of the world. This timeline implies that something other than basketball analysis may be influencing McNutt's commentary, such as her unease with Clark's quick ascent or her resentment of the attention she gets.
Different than ours. Her game's special. They always got to go to Little White Girl. I didn't hear anybody going to Little White Girl with Diana Taurasi. Why is that? I don't know. There's a jealousy there, no question. But they just can't bring themselves to say, we've never seen this before. I've seen more basketball in a year than Monica McNutt has seen in her lifetime.
They always get to go to Little White Girl, but I didn't hear anyone going there with Diana Taurasi. Her game is different from ours. Why is it that, even though there is undeniable jealousy, they simply cannot admit that we have never witnessed this before? I've watched more basketball in a year than Monica McNutt has in her life. When taken as a whole, the pattern of the selective application of various standards becomes unavoidable. The obvious distinction between Clark and other players approaches the same conclusion may be drawn from the social media trail and the timing of her increasingly critical remarks. What exactly did a LA Laker icon say to correct her and defend herself, since what we're seeing isn't objective analysis, but rather personal bias disguised as professional commentary? Caitlin Clark as well as.
Once she got further along in her career in college, I used to tell all my colleagues who are not into women's basketball say, hey man, you got to check out this girl at Iowa, man. She shoots from the logo. She shoots from almost half court. She's different.
Mychal Thompson, whose basketball acumen was developed alongside Magic Johnson during the Lakers' championship runs, enters the picture just as the haze of prejudice begins to envelop Clark's story, while McNutt weaponizes viewpoints masquerading as analysis. Thompson contributes a far more valuable viewpoint to the discussion, one that he has developed over decades playing basketball at the greatest levels.
Trying to emphasize it for about a year, then he finally caught on. And men who travel with us in our traveling party who are basically anti-women's basketball, just didn't care for it, didn't want to talk about it, had no interest in it at all. All of a sudden, they started watching Caitlin Clark and got intrigued by her, and they became fans of her and her game.
I tried to emphasize it for about a year before he finally got it. The men who travel with us in our traveling party, who are essentially anti-women's basketball, didn't care about it, didn't want to talk about it, and had no interest in it at all. However, Thompson isn't just any commentator. As a two-time NBA champion with the Lakers in the 1980s and current Lakers broadcaster, his basketball judgment carries the weight of experience that most analysts can only imagine when someone who has played with Magic Johnson and seen his son Klay grow into one of the greatest shooters in NBA history gives an evaluation to basketball fans. What makes Thompson's defense of Clark particularly potent is something that defies the natural order of the basketball universe in a stunning admission that speaks volumes. Thompson made an almost unprecedented admission for a veteran of his caliber.
The crowd would cheer when they scored. Is this everywhere?
I don't care. When I was in Indy, I didn't care about that. The only thing I remember about Indy is when I was leaving Cambridge Arena in a loading dock, Caitlin Clark walked right by me, and I froze. I didn't say hello to her. How about that? My favorite basketball player outside of Klay was right there in front of me. There she was, and I said, no, I can't do it. But getting back to your question, you're right. That's what I remember most about Indiana. Caitlin Clark is right there next to me.
Consider what this implies. A man who faced Larry Bird, played with Magic, and saw numerous NBA greats up close was literally thrashed by a WNBA sensation. This isn't just a compliment. It's a total reversal of the typical power dynamic in basketball, where veterans are respected by rookies rather than the other way around.